Hello, and welcome to the Capital Compass podcast. We are the official podcast of the New York State Catholic Conference. I'm your host, Gillian. In this episode, I'll be talking with Laura Cassell, the CEO and Executive Director of Catholic Charities of Long Island. Hi, everybody. I am here with Laura Cassell, the Executive Director and CEO of Catholic Charities. She has been the Executive Director since 1999, and, in fact, she was the first lay female to serve in this capacity. So, how does that feel?
It felt very good at the time. I mean, it's always good to break a little of that glass, but now there are actually many lay women who head up Catholic Charities throughout the country. And so I join a great group of very devoted and faithful people of both genders. And it's great to be standing on the shoulders of those who created these great organizations that live out the gospel.
So, for people who don't live on Long Island, I'll just read out a few facts. You guys cater to a lot of people.
Yes.
What I was reading, you give over 260,000 Meals on Wheels to homebound seniors in Nassau and Suffolk counties. You give housing assistance to veterans with mental illness, legal support and services for nearly 20,000 immigrants and refugees annually, supplemental nutrition assistance program, which is SNAP, as many people know, that serves over 3,000 people annually, and even more than that.
Yes, that's right. So we have quite a range of ministries here on Long Island, and many of the other Catholic charities throughout New York State similarly offer a fairly wide span of services to a very broad range of individuals in need. So we always say, if you've seen one Catholic Charities, you've seen one Catholic Charities because we're not cookie cutter, but we certainly have a shared mission and are united in that work.
Yep, this actually, you led me very well into my first question, which is Long Island is often perceived as a very affluent area, especially to outsiders, with some of the highest wealth in the nation. Yet there are a lot of almost unseen pockets of poverty and hidden needs. So, can you tell me a little bit about how Catholic Charities of Long Island is helping people?
Sure. So you described it very well. We often say that there are pockets of need amidst the great wealth and affluence of Long Island. So people think of Long Island and they think of our beautiful beaches and our golf courses and wonderful shopping malls and all the things associated with wealth and affluence. And yet, right there adjacent and not really invisible, right adjacent to all that are communities where people are really struggling in many ways. And it's just very easy to drive right through those areas on the Long Island Expressway and not see the poverty and the need and the struggles. So Catholic Charities is in partnership with all the Catholic parishes here in our diocese, and there are 133 parishes here. And so we're in every community, and people know very well that we're here, and they turn to the church. And I'd like to clarify when I talk to people that it's people of all faiths. People recognize that the Catholic Church is there to respond to needs, and it doesn't matter what the faith of the individual is, and we serve people because we're Catholic, not because they're Catholic.
So, hot topic as of late is that everybody was impacted by the pandemic, some more than others. So, what kind of changes in demand did you guys see, and how did you guys respond?
Right. So the pandemic really impacted everyone. I mean, every individual, every family, every business, regardless of sector. And so it was really wonderful to see the team at Catholic Charities. And I know at Catholic Charities throughout New York State and the country, everybody mobilized very quickly and were very nimble in paying attention to the safety concerns about the spread of the pandemic, but at the same time, very quickly mobilizing and doing what needed to be done to not only keep the team safe, but more importantly, or equally importantly, to keep those we serve safe as we try to be there for them. So, for example, in our behavioral health programs, which is mental health and addiction treatment, um, we weren't seeing people in the early days, we weren't seeing them in person, but we were able to connect with them virtually. For those who are homebound, and we deliver meals, and so much a part of that is it's about more than just the meal, as you can appreciate, for people who are homebound. So it's that human connection. And so to really not be able to go into the homes as we would customarily do, but really just be at the doorway, but to continue to be very attentive to ensure that the individual, the frail elderly person, was still safe at home, and that there could be some level of engagement. So even if it was conversation through the door or a subsequent phone call follow-up, that's just as important as the meal itself.
Yep. So leading from that, what were some of your biggest challenges? I mean, the world kind of changed overnight here.
It certainly did, yes. And the first challenge was getting our hands on the PPE that was necessary to keep everybody safe. So everybody knows through the news that even primary care hospitals were having a hard time staying ahead of that. So the charitable social service agencies like Catholic Charities were a bit forgotten in those early days and weeks. And so we just did everything we could. We just kept reaching out and calling on our partners and our colleagues in the community. And we managed to stay sometimes just one day ahead. But as long as we had what we needed for that day, we were grateful. And we kept our prayers going along with all the phone calls and the asks. And eventually there started to be a bit of a flow, and we were able, like many other organizations, to begin to build up a bit of an inventory.
We're speaking with Laura Cassell of Catholic Charities of Long Island, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Bishop Edward Scharfenberger of the Diocese of Albany. As Catholics, we're called to be a voice for the voiceless, the unborn baby in the womb, the elderly, isolated patient in a nursing home, the homeless veteran living on the street, the single mom struggling to get by, the young person with mental illness or addiction, the immigrant farm worker, the parents sacrificing for their children's education, the victim of violent crime, and even the incarcerated person in a state prison. Please join me and my brother bishops by making your voices heard in the halls of government. As Catholics, we are called to be active in the public square, to speak out on the inherent human dignity of every human being, and to help shape laws and policies that respect human life and promote the common good. The best way to do this, if you are a New York State resident, is to join the statewide Catholic Action Network. Just go to www.nyscatholic.org and click Join the Network, or text the word capital C-A-N, that's C-A-N, to 50457. To repeat, C-A-N to 50457. Staying informed and taking action is as simple as that, and there is no cost to participate. Thank you, and God bless you.
So, Thanksgiving is coming up. And usually this is a time where we see a big spike in collections for food pantries and soup kitchens. But food insecurity is a major issue throughout the year. And with the pandemic, we saw that problem worsen even more. So what are some ways that Catholic Charities is addressing this basic human need?
Yeah, so many of our programs offer food and nutritional support to families that are struggling. So we just continue to do what we've always done, to be there for those families. We're always very grateful at this time of year. It's like Thanksgiving is the start of the season where people are much more acutely aware of the needs around them. And so, we go right from Thanksgiving into Advent into Christmas, and that upswell of goodwill that is just a natural part of volunteerism and giving is something that brings great joy to our hearts. But I'm thrilled that you did mention and recognize that the needs are there throughout the year. And so this season is a time where we're always really blessed to connect with people who suddenly realize how much the Catholic Church does in the community, and in particular for the families and the individuals who are struggling. So it's such an important time of year. And we saw that same sentiment during COVID. So similarly, people, even in the midst of their own loss, their own grief, their own anxiety and uncertainty about what was going on, that they still wanted to do something. And particularly for the many, many people who were home, at home, and there weren't many places to go, and they were afraid to leave. And so they recognized that even as the doors of the church were closed for worship, that the doors and the hearts of Catholic Charities were wide open, and we were continuing to figure out what we needed to do so that the most vulnerable among us was able to get through that very difficult time. And of course, we're still in it, so we're still doing it. But we saw such an increase, really, in new donors to Catholic Charities. I think they saw very clearly that we continued to be there for people, and they very much wanted to direct their giving to organizations that were open.
So as you mentioned, we're entering the holiday season. I mean, Thanksgiving is kind of that big opener for it. And we're reminded of the importance of being grateful for our own blessings and, everything in our lives. So how do you see gratitude manifested in those you serve?
Yeah, so we're very fortunate because we see that all year long. And so at this time of year, we like to shine the light on that so that those who are getting through the season and, maybe just during this time of year, paying more attention to the needs of others, that they have the blessing that we enjoy all year, which is I'm always astonished, and I'm never surprised anymore by this, but the people we serve in all their need. And, we sometimes think that, what we're doing, it's so important and they need us. But what we know is that we need them, because in so many of these encounters, we hear things from those we serve, and we think, wow, they're going through this unimaginable hardship and difficulty. And they say things like, I'm so blessed and God is good. And so they are really powerful reminders that, it's extraordinarily fulfilling to be involved in the charitable mission of the church. And it's important for all of us as a community to know that we are there for one another. Yep. So they teach us really important lessons all year long about gratitude.
So I'll throw you a personal question here. What are you grateful for as you reflect on your blessings this year?
Oh, I'm so grateful that most of my professional life has been with Catholic Charities. So you mentioned earlier 1999. I actually started with Catholic Charities in 1988. And so I was appointed CEO in 1999. And so I've been associated with Catholic Charities for most of my professional life. And I'm just very grateful because for me, finding the mission of Catholic Charities and devoting myself to that has made for really seamless opportunity to live out my faith 24/7. And so I just think that's such a great blessing. And I appreciate that even more so at this time of year. And I like to share that with others because for others who, work in many other industries and they're very, very faithful and they do what they can on a volunteer basis, I want them to find that same fulfillment and it's just a great blessing. It makes you feel grateful every day.
Oh, yeah. So how can people support your work or get involved with Catholic Charities of Long Island?
So we are, of course, this time of year, we are delighted to field many, many calls of people who are interested in volunteering and supporting financially the important work that we do. This pandemic has created so much uncertainty, not the least of which is are questions about the programs that we operate in partnership with government and the questions about ongoing funding and support for that good work. And so we welcome people who are interested in becoming more involved, and they can find us on our website and call us at Catholic Charities. Here, our main office is in Hicksville, and they can reach us at 516-733-7000.
That's great. So do you have any final words you want to say to our listeners?
Well, just that, this is such an important part of being Catholic. Pope Benedict in his first encyclical, God is Love, he talked about there are three essential elements to be church. One is proclaiming the word, another is celebrating the sacraments, and the third is living out the gospel, living a life of charity. And so all of us at Catholic Charities were thrilled when that encyclical came out because so many people forget that charity isn't this optional, nice thing you can do once in a while if you have a little bit extra, but that it is an essential part of living out our faith. And so, we celebrate that message, and we're grateful to Bishop Kellenberg, who was the founding bishop of our diocese, because the very year that our diocese was formed, he created Catholic Charities. Wow. So he understood the importance of that. So we as individuals of faith have that calling, and the institutional church itself also has that calling. And we at Catholic Charities are really proud to be that social service arm of the Catholic Church on Long Island.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Gillian.
Thanks for listening to the Capital Compass podcast, and thank you so much to Laura Cassell for coming on the show. It was an honor to have you. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be coming out with a new episode every other week. If you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To catch all the latest from the conference, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NYS Catholic Conf and on Facebook at NYS Catholic Conference. Thanks again, and God bless.